Ho, 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 and welcome back to another episode of United We Stand, Divided We Podcast. I'm Robert from the United States, and with me I have my co-host,
Santa Claus from the North Pole. Just kidding. I am Lionel from Toronto, Canada. And by the way, we should mention we know it's not Christmas Day, but it is
Yes.
Christmas month, and we're all getting into this. So,
Yes, as you can see, we both have some cool backgrounds going on with some Santa hat clad eagles and beavers.
well, of course,
Christmas trees.
Your eagle is wearing the American flag Christmas themed sweater,
Yes.
and my beaver is wearing the Canadian flag Christmas themed
Yes.
sweater. Sorry, I couldn't get the AI to put the Santa hat on the eagle, but we'll work on that.
Yes. But sorry we missed last week. I was out on vacation with the family for Thanksgiving week, which I hope all of my American watchers and listeners had a great Thanksgiving week. I know I did. It was fantastic. And glad to be back though, and kind of back in the swing of things.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also good that now we can actually sing Christmas songs. Because in Canada,
not us.
In Canada, we start singing Christmas songs right after Halloween, because our Thanksgiving is actually before Halloween. Where it's supposed to be, by the way.
Well, when I said not us, I meant you and I. We in the United States now, everyone's playing Christmas music, but I will not be singing Christmas carols. You're welcome to go ahead and try if you want.
Well, I did mean that. I did mean that in the general sense. I didn't mean that I was going to assault anybody with my singing skills or lack thereof, whatever. But but that said, like now if I go out in the car, I can play a Christmas playlist if I so choose, because no one's going to be like, it's too early, it's December, and we're getting ready, and pretty soon I'm hoping that maybe I'll actually be wearing one of those ugly sweaters. Well, no, those ones are good. I wish I had one like that, but might be a good year to actually start wearing ugly Christmas sweaters. But you know what? Speaking of which, there's a lot of things that are different, a lot of things that are the same in a lot of parts of the world, but especially the United States and Canada.
Oh, but wait.
So,
I almost forgot. If anybody wants some new merch, I've updated the store with this cool looking shirt.
I agree with that, but that could have waited 10 seconds.
No, I almost forgot, and I would have forgot again. So,
well, no, it's right there.
Go buy it.
Right there. Right. What was I saying? Oh yes, the difference
things are the same.
Between the
Difference,
States
yeah.
The difference. I can't even speak now. United States, Canada, traditions. I mean, they can be slightly different, even in different parts of Canada or different parts of the United States. Like what you eat for dinner,
Yes.
But I do think there's a lot of things that are the same. And one of the major things is it's just traditional for family to all pile in and go to mom and dad's or grandma's house or something like that, usually for a long, long time, until that ends up eventually switching over to the new younger family, and then they eventually become the grandparents hosting for years. And that's pretty much the same just about everywhere. But are there different traditions? I mean, you've lived in different parts of the United States. Are there differences in how people eat their Christmas dinners, or if it's more popular to do your Christmas presents midnight or in the morning, that kind of thing? Or is that just a family to family sort of thing?
It's well, I've always found it to be kind of family to family. I think that maybe in the South here versus when I was in California, I have more people here that don't do things Christmas Eve, and they stick to Christmas Day because they have big families. So they want to do big openings and dinners and all the whole shebang. When my wife's mom and dad were still alive, there would be 13, 14 of us that piled into their house. Their Christmas tree would just be overflowing because everybody have their gifts there. And we'd spend the entire day from like 6 o'clock in the morning until probably 6 or 7 at night, opening gifts, cleaning up, eating food, watching shows, and
Now I'm going to stop you. What do you mean 6 o'clock in the morning? Even
Oh
as a
yeah,
child, I wouldn't get up before 8 in the morning. Desperate for, and I'd still have to wait for parents and grandparents to come down the stairs or, whatever, and finally say, okay, now you can. But oh no, they got to make breakfast first. No touching the presents yet. You got to wait
yeah.
and wait. But you're opening presents at 6 o'clock in the
No,
morning.
no, 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 no. We're getting up at 6 to go there to get ready, and then by usually
Oh,
between 7 and 8, we're starting to eat our sausage
yeah.
pinwheels and cinnamon rolls and opening gifts, and the
Don't
opening
know
gifts
anything. Okay.
would
See
be
now that
like 2 hours long. Like
okay,
it
now
was insane.
you caught my attention with one thing I don't know anything about. You said sausage pinwheel. What
Yes.
in God's green earth are we talking about?
So you take the like a crescent roll dough, like you would use the Pillsbury cylindrical tubes, that have the dough rolled up in them,
Uh-huh.
and you roll that out, and they come in these little strips that would normally be a crescent roll, but you take that whole thing as a one whole piece, and you put cheese and sausage and all kinds of stuff in it, and then you roll it up. So when you look at it, it looks like a swirl, looks like a pinwheel, and you cook it in the oven, and then you slice it up into like discs, and they're sausage pinwheels is what we call them. Maybe that's not the technical term for it, but that's what we've always called it for eons. So that's what they are, and they're really tasty. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
Sausage pinwheel. Oh, okay. All right. See, I had no idea what you were talking about whatsoever.
Oh, did you find a picture
And
of it?
of course I did. So I'm just gonna pop that up there for a second.
Yeah, I
As soon
guess
as I
I
can
thought
figure
we
out
were
how. But
going to
it's
be.
just switched Windows on me, and now I can't.
Here, there you
There.
go.
For crying out
No.
loud, are you kidding me? It's put an advertisement in front of it.
Oh yes, that's them right there. Yes, look at there. Uh huh.
The
Yep, they're so good.
sausage pinwheel. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Yeah, I just wanted to see what the heck we were looking at. I
Yeah,
think I've
they're
seen
really
it
they're really
before, but
delicious.
that that
Yeah.
that might be something that's a little bit more popular in some areas of Canada than others. I think I know some people in the West that have that, and there might be more people towards the east, further east towards the coast. But I don't think it's very popular here
So I think it's more
in
of a
central
southern thing
Canada.
here. I've never had
Yeah.
that when I was in California.
Okay. All right.
So I
That's
don't know if
interesting.
it's a regional thing, but
So, what about ham versus turkey versus both? Is that a
um,
regional thing?
so when I was in California, it would primarily be turkey, but here there's a lot of people, including our family, that will do ham and turkey.
I've had lots of times where ham and turkey. In Manitoba, for instance, it's very common for a lot of families to do ham and turkey. Turkey's the main. Ham is kind of like there's also ham.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will take advantage of that. Here, sometimes people go ham or turkey, but turkey's definitely like 99% turkey.
Yeah.
But because we have so many different um, races, nationalities of people in this area, especially Toronto and the greater Toronto area, it is very common to see people add something else from whatever region they come from, wherever country or area of the world they come from, or even the entire meal be completely different than what we would see here.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times we'll have green bean casserole, corn casserole, of course, mashed potatoes, rolls. I'm getting really hungry right
I'm
now.
sorry if I'm ever around your place at Christmas time one day in the future, and you offer me green bean casserole, our friendship is over.
Oh, it's so
It's,
good. So
it's done.
delicious.
There's absolutely zero kind of string green, yellow, or wax variety of bean, all related to each other, that I will ever eat.
That's
Okay.
delicious. Do you guys eat a
Anyways, that
lot of
was
cranberry sauce up there? You like sauce?
it's more popular family to family. It happens. It's like people expect you to have it with Christmas dinner, but a lot of people only put it out as a small amount of condiment. Other people put it out as part of the meal, quite literally. Like, and some people will put like a third turkey, a third cranberry sauce, and a third stuffing, and then double everything else they have on top of that. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I love
uh,
cranberry.
yeah, I like it too, but I only like enough of it that it just enhances a little bit, you know. And I usually end up eating like a couple of forkfuls of meat and a little bit of cranberry sauce and a couple of forkfuls of stuffing, and then I go nuts on the vegetables for a bit, and then the turkey and the stuffing. And the stuffing for me, or dressing, whatever you want to call it, is the absolute king of the meal. I know it has to be turkey there, but the stuffing is it for me. That's the thing. So I've been invited to people's places for dinner in the past. Not for a long time that's happened like this, but they've had just enough stuffing that everyone gets like 2 tablespoons worth on their plate. And
What?
you're like, okay, you've invited me over for Christmas dinner, so I'm grateful for that. Merry Christmas to everybody. Hugs all around, right? But I
Yeah.
go home and I go, my God, man, I wish I could have had some damn stuffing on Christmas.
Yeah, no, there's always plenty of
Yeah.
stuffing to go around here. Yeah,
Yeah, and
100%.
I like it not only the traditional way, just basically the seasoned bread.
Yeah.
I always put gravy on my stuffing too, by the way.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yep.
but
Yep.
I've
Mashed
I've
potatoes and
also had
stuffing and
stuffing that
gravy.
people have done with liver in it, like chicken liver, and fantastic. If
Okay.
you like liver,
Let's go back
um,
to the green bean comment. If you
eh,
ever offer me liver, our friendship is over. That is disgusting.
I did say chicken liver though.
I will build the wall on our border faster than Trump.
All right. Well, we know what kind of food you hate and what kind of food I hate. Oh, but you know what? Christmas is an awesome time too, though, because one of the things about Christmas, and we stress this a lot because we do this with our channel often. Well, all the time. That's what our channel's about. United States and Canada. Is that a great deal of us are phoning or FaceTiming, if that's what you want to call it.
Mhm.
Um, Video conferencing and whatever with family and friends throughout the Christmas season. Back in the day, you'd make that 1 or 2 long distance calls that would cost you, a whole day's paycheck, or a whole day's pay from your check.
Yeah.
And you'd write, some letters and send out your cards and your family postcard for Christmas thing.
Yeah.
Um, but you would otherwise call your closest friends and family members that couldn't be there, that live on the other side of town or something like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you just get on there. There's some people who be Zoom calling their relatives,
Well,
halfway around the world.
there's been a couple years where I would get my laptop and I would hook my TV to my laptop with HDMI. I would do a Google Meet call
Yeah,
with family, and we would
yeah.
literally spend an hour and a half on a meet call, opening presents together and enjoying company
See, that's what I'm
across
talking about,
the
right?
world. That
Is
was
back
awesome.
in the day, yeah, half the family had to spend thousands of dollars to come in, and it's still
Yeah,
great when that does happen, but it usually only happens once every 3, 4, 5, 6 years, where a bunch
yeah,
of cousins and aunts and uncles come from California or Arizona or Alberta, Canada, or something. Yeah, yeah,
hmm
and I had relatives from all of those areas
yeah,
that have come in for Christmas. We had people come in from the U.S. And Alberta and I think BC or something one year, and everybody's just clamoring around all over the place, and now everybody's got it. Well, we're over here, so we all got to help, and there's too many cooks in the kitchen at one point, right?
literally.
So
Yeah,
I'm like, and back then I still smoked, so I can go outside and have a cigarette. 2 minutes. Now, one thing that these people don't seem to understand is that I go over to my grandma's house at the time when she was still alive, all the time to help her do things or just to keep her company, right? So when I'd be over there the day before Christmas helping get stuff set up, be there early or late morning maybe, and help preparing me, for the meals and stuff like that, and getting the table ready, and having to pull out the giant, wooden table with the extra leaves and all that stuff, and stretching everything out
Yeah.
and finding the chairs and
Yep.
decorating everything,
Yep.
and then these people show up or start showing up around 2 o'clock, and by 4:30, they're all barking orders at each other about who should be doing what and everything. And I step outside for 30 seconds. I'm not even 30 seconds, and one of the uh, cousins somewhere along the line comes out and says to me, "What? You're not going to help?" Everyone else is helping. I'm like, oh my God. No, now I just want to go home.
You should say, I am helping, staying out of your way. That's helping.
Yeah, exactly. But the thing is, this happens in everybody's family.
Yeah, oh,
It's
yeah.
it's almost like it's part of the tradition to have too many people in the house at one time before the meal and the fight starts. But then once you get down to that table, all of it's gone and everyone's just happy to be there, and we're all happy we saw each other and we get to spend the time together. And it's
Yeah.
really an incredible experience because they make movies about this, comedy movies, where everybody fights, but as soon as Christmas dinner hits the table, everyone loves each other again.
Yeah.
So I guess that's a
Except for National
similarity.
Lampoons. They never had a nice family.
No, they did. Well, they didn't get to have the nice dinner. No,
Right. Yeah.
they
That's what I'm
all
saying.
loved each other in the end again.
In the end, yes. But
Right. Yeah.
they got
Yeah.
haywire on that.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Despite the fact that she grabbed her husband's nether regions in front of everybody, but for the picture. Oh wait, no, he said
funny.
freeze. That's right.
Yeah.
Anyways, well, that's all well and good. Listen, I got to bring this up because I want people to know our new sponsor. Oh, we don't have a sponsor. That's right. Never mind. But you know what? As long as I'm bringing up googly stuff, we get into something. What did we call this again? It's about Gemini. Yes, Gemini is slowly taking over not the world, just your Android phones. There, by the way, the Gemini. I think the last time we talked about it, I don't remember if we mentioned this or if this was a thing yet, but the Gemini app has been released on iOS. Yes, you can use Gemini Live on iOS. No, you will not be able to control stuff on your phone and whatnot. So it's another thing to use, and it will give you information that Siri, with or without ChatGPT's integration, may or may not be able to give you. But that said, Gemini has extensions, which is how Gemini is working, and I guess moving forward, that's pretty much the way they're always going to be able to do it, because inevitably the other software engineers will be able to actually take advantage of being able to put the extensions on or use extensions so the Gemini can control different things. So they have one, they just call it utilities. So Gemini, for the first time now, if you've got that update, you can tell it to take a selfie. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, I was able to do that before when I had Google Assistant was working. And that's true. And it worked pretty well. But I guess the biggest difference is that you can be having you're chatting with this thing or doing something else entirely, and you can tell it to do that or to control other things in your house because you have the Google Home extension as well. And it's becoming more seamless and a lot easier. And when you give it a command to Gemini using extensions as opposed to Google Assistant, it actually works a lot faster than Google Assistant used to work. I can get my lights to turn on or off or dim almost instantly when I give it a command using Gemini now. So if they ever do get around to putting the Gemini on my little Google Home over there, I'm going to be pretty happy about that.
So I got to looking while you were talking there because it reminded me. Remember when I did that beta test for YouTube with the gyms? I wonder, I was
yeah,
like, wait a
right.
minute. I wonder on the web if the extension is the same as a gym, but it's not. They
No,
have
no, no.
extensions, but like here's the interesting thing. The gym that I was testing is now an extension. So, because
Oh,
it's
I see. I thought you were talking about a gym that you made yourself.
no. I'm talking about the ones that they like created. That's like a part of the interface,
Right.
and it was in the gym manager, but it's not there anymore. Now it's an extension. So I wonder if
What
maybe
was
they
that one?
decided it was that YouTube specific gym at the time, which I
Oh,
guess
that
is an
yeah, no,
extension.
they added that like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it used to be a gym. It used to be in my gym section, not in an extension.
Right. Okay.
So that's kind of interesting. And they have a saved info section in here now too that they didn't have. I haven't been on the web version here in a minute. So that was interesting. I was just kind of curious. I was just wondering about that. But I also heard and saw too where I've seen people on some Reddit forums that I follow saying that they're getting different voices now with when they ask Google Home prompts.
Yeah, that's specific to Google Assistant, where it would, when asking it specific prompts, would invoke kind of like the reverse. It's almost like there's an extension on the Google Assistant to invoke Gemini instead.
Right.
But it's kind of pulling from it as opposed to an outright. It's kind of like one of their A/B tests, basically, is what.
Yeah, because there was one guy that said he asked a question to do something, and it was the voice. He's like, "Oh, that's different," and so he like had a conversation for like a couple things, and then all of a sudden it went back to the old assistant, and it didn't know what he was talking about. He's like,
Yeah, I naturally had to test mine and see, but he also said they also did mention though in the article that very like almost nobody had it yet. So that's what I'm saying. It's just an A/B test at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
know that they're going to do it that way. I think that we're not going to see a lot of that. If anything, they might do a bigger test in a week or two, and then when they feel it's going well enough, that's when they'll start saying only Americans and Brits can use it, but Canadians can kiss our yeah. Anyways, I can't remember what was that one main question that they gave as an example. Do you
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
I wish I could because I want to try it again.
It'd be really interesting though to see how when Gemini gets really baked in, if like for example, if somebody rings my doorbell and I could say, "Hey, you know who?" I can't say it because he's listening.
Yeah.
That you can say, "Hey, who's at my door?" And you know how in your well, you don't have the doorbell, but in the doorbell you can put the familiar faces. And
Yeah,
so when
it
someone
would work
walks up to
very
your
similar.
doorbell,
Yeah, it would work very similar to the way the Google Photos does. So when they have a proper extension for that, then yeah, that would be a thing. I mean, just the way it's working, that could be anywhere from a few months to go count on it being a year and a half to 2 years before it gets that functional.
But if somebody ever rings my doorbell and I ask it who it is and it goes, "Oh, hey, Sean, Lionel, is at your door?" I'll be like, "What the hell is he doing here?"
You probably would be wondering too.
Yeah. Tell him to go home. Tell him to go back to Canada.
Speaking of Canada, I'm going to do these weird segues, jump from one section to the other a lot. But
that's what we do.
A little birdie told me that you were actually considering the possibility of actually coming out this way because you wanted to see a race.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my son to figure out his whole passport situation, and I want to come up to see the Toronto Grand Prix. I've always kind of wanted to see that. That one, and Indy.
Yeah, it's right. You got to be specific. It is an Indy. You're not going to see Formula One there.
No. And if I can't get to Toronto with him, maybe he and I will go to Detroit. But of course, without the passport, we still can't get across the border to, I guess you could come to one side of Niagara Falls and I could come to the other and we could use our, but
yeah, right. How's
or
it
you know,
going? I'm
it
over
might,
here. Can you see me?
yeah, it might be
Yeah,
closer from
just in case
Detroit.
it, for anybody who doesn't know, hasn't been to Niagara Falls, either Canada or United States, it's like more than a half a mile wide.
Yeah,
When you're looking from one country to the other, and if you're actually standing on the actual corners of Horseshoe Falls, you are at almost a full mile distance
yeah,
from one end to the other.
yeah. It's
It's
huge.
a long way. So you could see people on the other side, but they're dots.
Right.
If you have a camera with a powerful lens, then yeah, you can. I got close up shots actually of tourists on the American side with the rain gear on, doing the walk down,
Yeah.
where they walk. Oh, you don't know, you haven't been there yet.
No, I haven't been there, but I've seen lots of pictures and videos and all. So
Well, yeah,
it's
but
again one of the
most of the stuff you see is always on the Canadian side. There's actually is some interesting stuff on the American side, and there's a whole walkway where you go down, and they give you the rain jackets.
yeah. I've
Um,
seen that. I've seen
Very
that. Yeah.
similar to the ones, probably the same ones that they give you when you go on the Hornblower or the Maid of the Mist. Hornblower being the Canadian one, Maid of the Mist on the American side.
Yeah.
Um, and they can, it's a winding step that's basically going down a cliff in between. Is it? Wait a minute. I think it's on the side of Bridal Veil Falls.
I don't know.
Yeah, between Bridal Veil Falls and Horseshoe Falls. And it looks really cool because it's the sunniest day, hottest day, and it's just they're just shrouded in this mist, and it looks
Yeah.
really cool.
It does.
Have something similar on the Canadian side as well, but that's actually right next to Horseshoe Falls, and I can't remember what it's called. Something about a cave or something, or under the falls, I think they call it. Yeah, and you can actually get underneath at one point, and then you come out and you're standing almost right beside it. And
Oh, that's
I
cool.
have a picture that I took with a very expensive camera and a huge lens from very far away. And you could it just so it zoomed right in and you can see the people. It's just nothing but a wall of water and mist, and these people standing there with raincoats on.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, if we get to Detroit, it'd probably be easier to see you across the river than it would to see you across the falls.
No,
No,
God, Detroit River is massive.
between where did we from where
Are you kidding? That goes from one Great
it's
Lake to the next Great Lake. It's
no,
huge.
I'm talking about between Detroit and whatever
Windsor.
city.
Windsor.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a massive bridge. That's, I mean, you've seen the size of the bridge that they're building there, right? Or is that
No, I haven't.
is that the one that's going in Windsor? Or is that going to the other city further north? I don't remember.
Oh,
But
anyways.
it's still it's just massive. It's a long ways.
But we'll try to
Um,
figure it out. I'm waiting for him to get back to me about this whole passport situation because that would be pretty cool. So,
how long does it take to actually get it once you sort stuff out? Like if you have an issue and you go do that, I mean, like
well,
in the
it's
States. I mean, it's different in the States than it is in Canada. But I mean, like let's say I was American, born and bred, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go get a passport today. How long would it be before I'd actually get a passport?
well, it can be anywhere from 6 weeks to 90 days.
Okay, well, so
So not, I
technically
mean,
speaking,
not
he
a
should be able
long,
to
long
have it.
time.
Worst case scenario, by the end of March, you could still technically wait. No, could you make the plan? You'd still be able to buy tickets by then. I'm
Well, but
assuming.
see, but what you don't understand is he's supposedly already like submitted for the renewal, and it shows pending on the Social Security website. So
Oh,
I don't know if something's
okay.
got it hung up. So if it might just be a situation where he's just got to resolve something that
So
they're
my
holding it.
guess
I don't
is,
know.
yeah, my guess is because he's been very busy with his work, that he's basically done a lot of. I'm tired. I'm going to bed after work. All these long hours, and just hasn't gotten around to it. Then
Yeah, man, we'll see.
it
can
happens.
work
It
it out.
happens. I mean, and you get this time of the year too. You don't want to lose. You want to make even more money, and makes
Well, yeah,
sense.
sure. I mean,
But
I understand that. I don't want him to lose money, but it doesn't.
it should probably he's probably able to do as long as he gets on it. Just stay on him.
They have a
Stay
website that you
there.
can actually go and do some digging on the Social Security website, but I don't know. He's
No,
supposed to be back there.
I
So
got.
yeah,
I gotta
we'll see how
say,
that goes because that
yeah.
would be cool.
I gotta say, I miss the days when I could just basically drive up to the border, and then they ask you, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to Chicago. I'm going to Detroit. I'm going to
Yeah.
Dallas, whatever. How long are you going to be? A week, 3 days, whatever. Do you got anything to
Yeah.
declare? No. All right. Have a nice trip. They don't ask you for a driver's license. Don't ask you for ID. Don't ask you for nothing. They're
Yeah.
not searching anything. Just drive on through. We had the
Yeah.
greatest border in the world, man, and 99.99% of people went across the border not intending to commit a crime and didn't do so.
Yeah, it's been a long, long
Yeah.
time ago, but I was in Detroit one time and went across a bridge. I wasn't sure how close the next city. I didn't really have anything to do. I just kind of drove for a little bit and
Yeah.
turned around and drove back. But I just showed them my driver's license. Like, I was like, yeah, just gonna go check it out. And they're like, okay,
Wait a minute.
not
I'm sorry,
anymore.
oh, yeah. No, not anymore.
But so the odd thing too is like, so when we were in Europe, this was kind of I found to be weird. So all of the European Union right there, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Germany, Luxembourg, they all have open borders. Like you get in your car, you just drive and you just cross the border.
Yep.
There's no passport checks, no nothing. But if you get on a train, they check your passport. You have to check your passport to cross the border in a train.
Well, that's because it's mass transit. It's
So
the
is
same
my
thing with
car.
a plane. No, it's not the same thing. I said mass transit. It's the same thing. If you get on a plane, you go from one country to the other. You absolutely have to go through customs. Even Canada to Britain, and we are a
Well,
Commonwealth.
why would you allow a whole like 50,000 cars to drive through? I could drive a car from
Family.
France to the Netherlands
It's
across three
basic.
countries.
Yeah, it's because of the way their economic system is and the way they've been for over 100 years.
Yeah,
Basically,
that makes sense to me.
and then but it used to be like that in Canada and the United States too. It's the same thing. And it used to be the only reason why they even had the border was to make sure that they could stop criminals if they were told by the FBI he's heading to Canada, or if they were told by the RCMP he's heading to Michigan. It's
Yeah,
I mean, there really wasn't much other reason for it. It was set up as a border the way we know it, technically after 1812, right? Or the War of 1812, you know what I mean? But beyond that, when Canada and the United States officially became friends, they just never had any reason until after 9/11 to actually start doing the whole tighten up the border thing. And so, 9/11 ruined a lot of people's lives. Just criminalized shit. Made it bad for business too, because the truckers have to wait hours and hours where they used to just basically go in, show their manifest, and as long as their last weigh scale was correct and stamped, they were given the green light, and or worst case scenario, they're told to pull over. They open the damn thing, and the border guard goes up, takes one quick peek, and goes, "Okay, looks fine." Maybe they have a dog sniff it real quick. That's it, gone. Right?
Yeah.
20 minutes, worst case scenario. 5 minutes. I mean, in a lot of scenarios, most cars go right through. You got 8 people in a car that seats 6, and they're going to start asking questions. Right? You got 4 people in a car that seats 5. They didn't care.
In Canada, do you have an agency that would be equivalent to the United States TSA?
Yeah, of course. You remind me though exactly what TSA stands for.
Transportation Safety Administration. It's what the TSA are the ones that man the security at all the airports.
Okay, hang on one second while I see if I can figure this one. I'm gonna go to Gemini.
So,
what is the Canadian equivalent of the TSA?
The Canadian equivalent of the TSA is the Canadian Air Transport Security Authority, CATSA. CATSA is responsible for security screening of passengers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you have a service where you can pay money and sign up and be basically like pre-vetted through the TSA and your government to where
I think it's the same in the United States and Canada. It's the Nexus system, isn't it?
No. Well, they do have the Nexus system, but like, so in the United States, they have a service called TSA PreCheck. And basically, you can pay like $120 a year. Well, sorry, $120 for 5 years. And when you get what's called a known traveler number. So like I have it in all of our airline profiles. And so whenever my airline tickets print out, it automatically says TSA PreCheck. So when I go to security, there's a whole separate line, and it's typically like a fourth of what the regular line is. And they don't make you take your shoes off. They don't have near the requirements as far as scanning.
Okay, I'm curious again. I'm going to ask Gemini. Okay, so what do you call this? A pre-check, right?
TSA PreCheck.
TSA PreCheck. TSA has a thing called a pre-check. Is there an equivalent for the Canadian version?
Yes. The Canadian equivalent of TSA PreCheck is called Verified Traveler. It allows eligible travelers to access expedited security screening lanes at select Canadian airports. To be eligible, you can either be a member of the Nexus or Global Entry Trusted Traveler programs.
Oh, so technically, if you have the Nexus, you're probably going to just be able to get on either one, United States or Canada.
Okay, so here's another interesting thing that it just said is about global entry, because that's another aspect that when I started traveling internationally, I signed up for global entry, which automatically gives us PreCheck. But to do global entry, you actually go and you have to physically meet in person with a customs border agent and go through a screening, get fingerprinted. They do like a little background check, and they do all this vetting. And again, it's like 5 years that you have your global entry. So what happens then, the global entry is for coming back into the United States from a foreign country. Right. So like in, when I came back from Europe going through JFK, my global entry probably saved me at least an hour, if not more, waiting in line, because they have a whole separate section. They have terminals set up. It scans your eyeballs. It validates you put your passport in. It scans it, validate it. You go through the border.
And just to be clear, it saved you a minimum of an hour, because if you had got an honorary or irate or an agent that just was having a bad day, they might have looked at you and went, "I don't like the way this guy's looking, so I'm going to check his stuff."
Yeah, and just walk right through almost. It's so nice.
There's a ton of people that have done nothing wrong. They're not on any kind of lists, and there's no reason that they should be, singled out. But it happens, and sometimes they just do it randomly. So obviously, if you can be on that, vetted,
but it sounds like that maybe the United States and Canada might all be a part of some similar network where we can utilize some of those.
Yes, they are.
Pre-checks.
See, here's the thing: is that everybody that has been pre-checked in any way, shape, or form in the United States, Canada has access to that. So if somebody comes to Canada, they do their little pre-check thing before they, going in, before they get on the plane, blah blah blah, right? But when they come here, obviously they have to go through customs before they can get out into whatever city, Toronto, Calgary, whatever, right?
Right.
But if they have that, again, it comes up vetted or whatever it is it'll say on their screen that they've been pre-checked. And the only reason why they would go beyond that is if the person was like, if they're getting a little bit antsy and stuff, then start looking a little nervous.
Mexico doesn't participate.
I got to tell you something real quick. A couple of years ago, I had what was that? Some kind of a traffic thing, right? And I thought there was maybe $800 worth of damage. So, we basically went our separate ways and called the insurance and let them deal with it. A few months later, I get a cop coming to talk to me, and he says, "I came to your house." He called me. I came to your house. Can I meet with you after work or something? He said, "We did it. You're not going to be under arrest for anything. You're not in trouble. I just, we have talked about the accident." I said, "What the hell are you talking about?" He says, well, it was more than $1,000 of damage and you didn't report it. Because it wasn't $1,000 of damage. This person's lying through their teeth, but okay, fine. But apparently I had to go to court over the damn thing because I didn't report it. So I go to the court when they give me the date, and I'm walking in and I'm taking the keys out in my wallet, right? You know how it is. Everything, it's like airport security now, right?
Yeah.
And take the keys out, take the wallet out, a pen and, stuff like that. And then I reach a utility knife in my pocket in court. I'm looking at the guy and going, oh, Jesus. I said, I don't need that back. I forgot I had it. He says, don't worry about it. So after I talked to the magistrate or judge or whatever it was, I come back to the security and I said, hey, no, you forgot your knife. I'm like, you're going to give it back? He said, well, you're leaving.
Yeah, I've lost many.
Airport, by the way.
I've lost many a keychain knives, the little ones you put on your keychain at the airport after 9/11, because prior to 9/11, it was not a big deal. But after 9/11, they wouldn't let you bring it on. So, I'd have to toss it in the trash because I can't.
Yeah. Listen, I had that happen before 9/11. What was I? I think I was coming back from Calgary. This was back in the 90s, right? And I get to the airport and I put my stuff in the little basket to go through the scanner. And she grabs it and she holds this up. It's a little lighter, and it's the torch kind. It only flames only this high, but it goes right. So she goes, and she says, "Your choice. Toss it. It costs $5. I'm gonna. You think I could give up the $350 airline ticket over a $5 lighter?
Yeah,
keep it. I don't care what you do with it. I don't need it. I got to smoke on the plane anyways. Those days were long gone by then. And
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So that's interesting about that. Now, so here's an interesting fact that I didn't know this until we traveled there. The Bahamas actually have a United States TSA presence in their airport. So in Nassau. So like when we went there to our vacation in the Bahamas a couple of years ago, everyone kept saying, oh yeah, we do security. And somebody said, oh yeah, go through the customs there. I'm like, customs? I was like, that's when we landed in the United States. I don't go through customs here. And then when we got there, we realized we see TSA PreCheck, global entry. I'm like, oh my gosh, they have everything here. It literally took us like 10 minutes to get through security. And
wait a minute, you're saying you went through customs in a foreign country so that when the plane landed, you just basically walk out like you're getting off a bus in front of your house?
Yes, 100%. We couldn't believe
it. But you still land at an international gate, right?
No, you don't.
Wow.
You land at a regular gate.
You're kidding.
No, I couldn't believe it.
Because it takes off from an area where everyone on the plane has already been checked.
Yes.
So they don't have to land at international.
Correct.
That's cool. I wish you see, here's the thing. Why don't United States and Canada do that with the flights that go over the border? I know, well, it's a lot of flights, yeah, but they're all international. So why
I've never flown to Canada, so I don't know what the process is.
Well,
maybe next year I'll let you know.
It's easier if you don't have the Nexus thing. I don't know. I think Nexus is both countries, but you got this pre-thing. But check it out because it might make it even faster for you. Because when you have the Nexus, apparently whether you're driving, taking a bus, a train, or flying, you basically just pop the card, your ID, and they go, "Okay, have a nice day, sir," and you move on. And that's
so there is a separate,
they will once again see your Nexus card and your vetted.
Yeah, there is a separate thing for like if you have a vehicle that you could put on the vehicle. It costs a little more, but I don't drive across the Mexican or Canadian border, so I didn't get it.
Right.
And I think I bet you it has something to do with that Nexus program.
I'm serious. Look into that because that will save you going into Canada even more, because people with Nexus cards, everybody, both the border agents on both sides, know right away that they've been double vetted, basically.
Right. Yeah.
You've been double vetted on both sides of the border, because when they do the Nexus thing, they don't just check to see whether you pass here, but they make sure that you don't have any warrants in another country, specifically Canada, United States. So, for instance, I could get a passport here and hypothetically, and this is not true, hypothetically have a warrant for my arrest in Arizona, but they wouldn't be checking that. So when I get to the border, they're not looking for local warrants in the U.S., only if I have anything in Canada. But when you have the Nexus, they want to know, are you okay in both countries, so that we can, So it's an agreement that they have. So RCMP and FBI are in the back end of that, by the way, monitoring everything that both agencies in the United States and Canada control for border control.
Yeah. So, well, if we get to go to the race in Toronto, I'll get to experience how that process is. But yeah, when we were in Bahamas, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll come here all the time, because it was so easy, so fast, and I was just like, this is cool. I don't know why they chose Nassau, other than it's obviously very close to Miami. Maybe there's just a lot of travel there. I don't really know, but it's
very popular vacation destination. It's easy, and they would have got easy permission from the Bahamian government, because that's rent money.
But me and my wife, because there's like nobody in that line, because I guess people just don't do the global entry thing, which is stupid.
And the other reason why they like the idea is because if somebody else were to get into the Bahamas from another area, like from a different direction, and then decide to fly into the States, and they didn't do it that way, they have to vet them after they get in. Well, what if the plane has to make a diversion? Now they have to start thinking about having to rescreen everybody in a different airport. They don't have to worry about shit like that from Bahamas. There's probably a dozen reasons why, and like I said, in the Bahamas, they're getting money for it because they have to lease the space, right?
Yeah. So we passed up, hundreds of people, and we're looking at each other like, did we like take a secret door, or do we felt like it was so weird. It happened so fast and so easy. We're like, is this for real right now? Because like, this was like 5 minutes. We went through not only security, but a customs border check.
So
in a foreign country.
You're saying it's kind of like going to Disneyland and buying that extra pass so you don't have to wait in line to get on.
Yes. It was exactly like that. And I'm just like, wow, this is amazing. Everyone's looking at us like, why are they getting to go so fast? So I was like,
it just occurred to me. If you do make it to the race, it's summer. You got to come for more than a day, right?
Well, yeah.
You got to check out Canada's Wonderland. You've been to other amusement parks. I want to know your opinion on it. You can do a review on Canada's Wonderland. you got to see it. Honestly, it's one of the largest. Well, it's actually one of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, we can make plans to do that.
But and while you're watching the race, I'll be just outside the track, staring at the hairpin turn from a hill, and
Apparently, they have opened up some new type of ticket where they call them rooftop tickets, where you can actually. No, that's in Detroit. Sorry.
Yeah, it's not.
That was in Detroit. Yeah, because in Detroit they have some like garages that are around the. You know how the
because
pit lane there is 2 lanes.
Their street race is practically downtown.
No, it is downtown. 100%.
Oh, it is downtown. Sorry, my mistake.
Part of it, yes.
Ours is kind of, considering it's a massive city, it's close to downtown, but it's also a good distance. And it's on the grounds of what we call Exhibition Place, which is where they used to have the Canadian, I'm not saying not Canadian, the hell did they call it? Yeah, the Canadian National Exhibition, or what we call the X. It would be what you might call a state fair.
Okay, yeah.
And at one point, it was the largest in the world. when they did that. The race goes around the grounds that they actually built specifically for that fair. Which is, by the way, nothing nowadays. It's tiny and garbage. But the race itself is really nice. And so it's all on streets, but a lot of it is part of parking lot and to tiny little streets where they do hairpin turns and stuff. Yeah. But the main backstretch is one of the main roadways that I drive down all the time. And it just like looks really cool when you see all these cars racing down it. And like, Jesus, I just drove down that like 4 days ago, and then they closed it off. Another
it's like that in Nashville, because when they still had it in downtown Nashville, which they had moved it outside of Nashville because they're rebuilding the new Titan Stadium, but they had it going across the Korean Veterans Memorial Bridge that crosses over the Cumberland River. And the cars would come from downtown over the river towards the stadium. And before they hit the brakes to make that left-hander, they'd be hitting like 180. And I drive my Ford Fusion over that bridge going 180 over this bridge would be insane. Because it's not very long.
But I'm sorry, you just said Ford Fusion and 180? I mean, we're not talking about kilometers, are we?
No, it'd be miles per hour, but it can't do 180. No. Yeah, but just to drive on the road that I just got through watching an IndyCar do 180 miles an hour on is like insane. Like, how do
I'm not going to tell you the fastest I've been on Lakeshore. And by the way, if anybody's watching this and says Lakeshore, that's Chicago. Yeah, we have a Lakeshore too. Chicago and Toronto are actually sister cities, legitimately, and they're laid out somewhat similar but facing different directions. And we do have a Lakeshore, and it is one of the main roads, much like in Chicago. However, the fastest I've driven on the thing, I'm not going to say, but it wasn't excessive. Maybe slightly faster than the posted limit, but it was not excessive. Most of the time you can't because it's too heavy traffic, and the rest of the time is honestly the view driving down Lakeshore is very nice. And why would I want to drive too fast to see anything? There's a really interesting gate at the front entrance of or at least an entrance, anyways, of the exhibition place or park or whatever they call it. I can't remember the name of it right now for some weird reason, but it looks like something that would have been built in like, the 1700s in Europe or something. It's pretty cool. And they often show this when they're getting ready to show the race, or they're saying, oh, and we'll be right back with the race, and they'll do an aerial shot, and you often will see that gate at the end because from pit, after they leave pit lane and they head for the first turn, that turn is right before that gate, and it just looks really cool.
Nice. Yeah, it's it'll be cool. Excuse me, it'd be cool if we can get there. So we'll have to see. It's I've always enjoyed watching that race, and I liked last year watching the Detroit race. For a while they did. I think they took it. They didn't have it for a couple of years or something, but yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, if you get your ducks in a row, or rather, if your son gets his ducks in a row, you 1 year here, and then maybe a couple of years later when you save up some more money, try the Montreal one. That is a Grand Prix.
Yeah,
I think Vancouver's is a Grand Prix too. I can't remember. I don't remember if it's an Indy or a Grand Prix, or maybe it's somewhere else.
Well, they call the IndyCar race a Grand Prix as well.
Well, some, not ours.
You can go to Toronto GP. It's a Toronto Grand Prix website.
What the heck are you talking about? It's always been called an Indy, either depending on who the sponsor was, like the Honda Indy when it was Honda, and Toronto when they didn't have us, or when the sponsor didn't use the name.
Yeah, Toronto Grand Prix 2025.
Toronto's annual road race. being non-specific there.
Toronto has several annual road races, including.
Sorry, I meant not running. I'm talking about the car race that's televised internationally. That's funny.
You're likely thinking of the Honda Indy Toronto, held annually in July at Exhibition
Oh,
Place.
it's still Honda.
It's an
Okay.
IndyCar Series race, televised internationally, and a major event.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, Indy. It's not a Grand Prix.
Okay. Well, it's when you go hunt for the tickets and you go to the site, it shows as a GP, a Grand Prix.
Oh well, yeah, but it's not called a Grand Prix, is what I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying the name of the race is called a Grand Prix.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, we'll move on from that one.
Yeah. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, we'll be able to get something worked out because that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, hope you guys get to make it out. And in the meantime, we should probably think about wrapping this up. And the Eagle and Beaver there are they're still staring like they want some of that cranberry sauce we were talking about. But we ain't got it yet. We still got a little ways to go before the cranberry sauce hits the table.
Yeah. Let's see. We have what is the calendar like? I forget. I mean, time moves so fast. It's just
it does.
It's insane. So we have 1, 2
at the end of December, but it's actually almost a week before December, before the end, and we're already almost a week into it. So technically, we've only got 2 weeks and slight change. What about 16 days?
So we'll have 2 more podcasts because obviously the third one would be on Christmas Day, which obviously neither one of us is going to be doing a podcast on Christmas Day. So
it's 21 days. It's actually 3 weeks. It's 21 days from now. I was wrong.
Yeah, but
today's the 4th.
Well, I was thinking of like how many more podcast weeks we have.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So we have 2 more. So we'll be in our Christmas jovial spirit, and then we'll be off into New Year's, and then we'll be off into 2027, and then 3031, and
yeah. Well, just because you say 2 more, I'm curious because everyone else is, anybody else watching is going to want to know: are we taking a Christmas hiatus or going to pre-tape something for Christmas week?
You know what? I don't know because you know how things get crazy. Let's just say that if we do, it'll be obviously the week before, and we'll let you know. But we might end up taking a hiatus. It just depends on time because it's there's all kinds of family stuff going on, and I know we're both going to be pulled in multiple directions, as we get closer to Christmas. So we'll see. We might be able to pre-record even something small, just as a,
Oh, you just had that weird Samsung thing pop up in your TV.
Oh, was my laundry done?
I don't know. I get that happen with me all the time, and it's usually just saying, something wants to update. And I'm like, I don't care.
No, it's probably an alert that popped up that said the dryer is finished.
Oh,
it's like because my Samsung is my dryer is a Samsung. So,
alrighty.
But so, all right, cool. Well, this is I've been enjoyable. It's kind of glad to be back and get in the swing. We'll do, some more Christmas fun stuff, and hopefully we'll have some other things to talk about Christmas wise. I think I really liked the comparison of, how you do yours and how we do ours.
Yeah.
I think maybe we can take that and continue that to see. We should think about it. You and I figure out I
think so.
What we can do that's, compare this to that kind of thing. Cause I always enjoy that. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I think there's a number of things we can talk about in that area. It's it is a lot of fun.
That's all, folks.
That's right. Yeah, I think it's probably getting tired, so it's probably a really good time to get going. It's a little later. So, we're actually recording this slightly later than we usually do because again we're already getting into the busy season. So it happens. So there we have it. So listen, from Toronto, Canada, much closer to the North Pole, and Santa does belong to us. And we loan him to you. I'm just kidding. I'm Lionel from Toronto, Canada.
And I am Robert from Nashville.
There's a
And
bit of a
we'll
hiatus
see
there.
you next week. Peace out.